Alright, ladies and gents, this is a couple really scary, creepy, true axe murder stories that happen in the Appalachian areas around East Tennessee. And really creepy. So the first story, believe it or not, was involved around Christmas. Kind of a bad time to have an axe murder, but it did happen. And this happened somewhere around East Knoxville area in Tennessee, and the Appalachian area. And this couple that was Dr. Barclay Jones and his wife Lucy were home with their nephew and another person that was their house helper on Christmas Eve. And somehow their nephew, who was 14 years old, which he was his name was George Lane, got in an argument with this helper, and that helper hit him with a something like a rod and picked it up and knocked him out, and then he went and got an axe and he started chopping him up. And then he got Dr. Barclay's wife, and he chopped her with an axe and killed both of them. But Dr. Barclay wasn't there at the time, so he actually came in later, and the assailant, what do you want to say, was waiting in the garage for him. Yeah. And so they had a struggle, and the dude chopped him up and and killed him while he was in the garage. And this kind of a really bloody type thing that happened, and they caught the guy who did it. I mean, they figured out it was the helper, and they got him. And of course he was taken to jail for this murder. But it's really spooky. I mean, this house is still there. I just wonder, if all this happening's there, if they have poltergeists or something in the house. I bet they do, but who knows? Very spooky. Alright, this next story is even creepier. It involves two brothers and a sister, Sam, Louise, and Floyd Phillips. Now, Sam and Louise were actually veterans of the U.S. Navy, and they all had worked at the Cherokee Mills at the time, a textile factory out in Knoxville, Tennessee, kind of the Marble City area is where this was. And during this time, they actually were moving to the Marble City back, and this is a couple years before the other triple axe murder. This was actually in 1927, and in the process of moving into this house, somehow Sam got into it with his sister and brother Floyd, and he ended up taking an axe and chopping him up, which was pretty bad. And then what's really crazy about this is he went down to the actual railroad down there by the Cherokee Mills area intersection there around Concord somewhere, and he just laid his head on the railroad tracks. He waited for a train to come by, and then he kind of put his neck on the rail and let the train come by and sever his head off. Very crazy, very crazy. But so today, you can think that the Cherokee Mills does have some haunts in it with these tragic things that happen there, as you can see apparitions or people of, you know, maybe the Sam and Louise and them walk around. But the biggest one is if you see somebody at night while you're driving across the railroad there, across Concord or going down to Knoxville, if you see somebody laying around or looking around that track, that may be actually the ghost of Sam Phillips, you know, waiting for that train. Pretty creepy, but very true.
So here we are at Cherokee Mills. That's where it's at, right there. Standard Meeting Mills, where the, you know, Sam and Floyd and I think Louise used to work at one time. And then over there's the marble factory, original factory over here. And so the paper said that Sam committed suicide or put his head on the rails 200 feet roughly at a crossing from Cherokee Mills, which that's 200 foot. If you measure it off Google, that's about 200 foot roughly to over here. So this is where, in this area right here, is where it happened. At least estimated. I don't know that for sure, but you can kind of look down that way, and there was a person supposedly on the railroad looking at him saying, hey, what's this dude doing? They thought he was going to catch a train, but you know, he didn't. He right over there, he actually laid his head down and severed it. Kind of really crazy story about, you know, the dude that actually, you know, killed his brother and sister and then came here and laid his head on the tracks and severed his head. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You know, if I had to say that this place right here be extremely haunted, I would say probably so, after something like that. That's where it was, Marble City.